Hi there, thanks for joining me. I'm Kira Woods and this is your weekly intuitive tarot reading for November the 24th to the 30th. So this is the ending of the month, hasn't it gone quickly? Alright, so I'm going to draw 3 cards and see what comes from that. Alright, first card we've got here is the 8 of Swords and the Magician, Major Arcana card, number 1, and the 10 of Wands. Okay. Well, this is a card about letting a week of, we're going to learn to let go and release, isn't it? Alright, so, gee, this 8 of Swords shows up a lot in readings. I think in this day and age, the mind is such an active part of our being. You know, this card is talking about, you know, we get feeling that we're stuck, or we've been sort of in a place where we can't sort of make movement because of our perceptions of a situation. That our perceptions often block our will and our ability to really see what's going on. And so if you look at this card closely, you'll notice that, you know, the imagery, the character is bound and has a blindfold on, but the feet are actually quite free to move. And that's the important thing in this card. So often we'll find that the mind will sort of make us feel like we've been stuck in a prison around a particular thought or a situation, and we can think there's just nowhere to go. But in reality is that if we change our perception, or if we make a shift in how we look at the situation, that we actually are free to make movement. As I look at this, I think, you know, it's important to look at, well, what areas, ask yourself sort of questions like, what areas am I feeling trapped? How is my thinking sort of leading me to feel like there's no movement, or no way to make a shift for the better in the situation? Where am I feeling imprisoned? Or is there someone else around me perhaps that I'm interacting with who we're feeling is in the same? You know, as a problem arises, or as problems arise, or situations arise that we feel are causing us distress, sort of asking those questions. You know, maybe the question is, well, what's holding me back? You know, where do I need to change my thinking? Where is a sense of perhaps ignorance or a limitation of thought the cause of how I'm feeling so frustrated and overwhelmed in a particular situation? So that's sort of what we're looking at here at the beginning of the week. As we move on into the week, we've got the Magician. So, you know, this card now is saying, okay, so if we can let go of our perceptions, or if we can make a bit of a mental shift around what's sort of paralyzing us in this moment, that we can then take action and have great strength and ability to really engage in some sort of creative solution. So this card is looking at that sort of ability to be genuine and dynamic, and to really be creative in looking at our life and using our energy to enhance our well-being and what we're here for, and our situations at hand. It's, you know, the Magician's saying, you know, take control and use your expertise and your wisdom and your knowledge. Acquire new skills if you need to. You know, look at what abilities do I have? What abilities would really make this different? How can I manifest what I need and want, and bring forth those skills and abilities into my situation? How can I, you know, be creative and inspired? You know, it's a card of, you know, great fulfillment and openness and flow. And so here we're looking at, and it's like using communication as a real gift to effect that change in our life. So, you know, here we are looking at, if the mind is let free from the perceptions of what's holding it back, that we can really open up to being free and communicating to move the situation forward for us. It helps us really be free to see what are our unique gifts and abilities in this situation. And helps us ask that question, am I using those gifts and abilities and powers to the benefit of what will be the best for myself and those around me and the situation at hand? Am I being a teacher or a guide in this situation, or should I be, or could I be, more importantly? If I free myself from those sort of mental perceptions that are holding me back, do I actually have something really important to offer here, and is that what's going on? It's about making something real out of those possibilities. So sort of this card's saying, let go of your mental worries and anxieties and perceptions, and step into your personal power, because that is where you're really going to affect some positive change. As the week moves on, we've now got the 10 of Wands. Okay, so we're first of all looking at that mental perceptions, and now we're looking at the importance of releasing expectations. So, what can often happen that can also make us feel burdened is, and sort of have a negative effect on our capacity to really engage our passion, is that we can feel we get caught up in expectation of outcomes. So, with the Magician here, we're looking at stepping into your personal power. Well, that may not necessarily bring forth what you had previously perceived. So it's around let go of those perceptions, move into your personal power, and then you will automatically release the expectations of a previously perceived outcome. Because that outcome actually can be a burden, and it could even be a burden around things like feeling that something has to be perfect all the time, or that you have to complete the project in a particular way or through a particular process, and that struggle becomes very burdensome, and then our energy gets deflated, and we begin to not really value what we have achieved. So this card's saying, look, really value and honor and celebrate what you have achieved, because that has come from your pure essence, your own personal creative power, and that's really going to take you forward to something quite amazing. It's like if you maybe the project, it may not be 100% complete, but wow, what did you complete? It might be that you've just hit the first major milestone in your new business or your new project or your new relationship, and it may not all be exactly perfect as you had pre-perceived it would be, but what you have is amazing and it should be celebrated. This is the card that's saying you've got the permission to just put down all that mental weight and worry and expectation and celebrate, what you have got. It might be that you've been carrying burdens, somebody else's burdens or worries or expectations, and that's their stuff, and you can actually let go of that because you want to stay solid in your own power, your own personal power. So really from a day-to-day perspective, this card is saying, celebrate your accomplishments and let go of your burdens, and really embrace your own power and your passion around what it is you have achieved and what more you can do. And realize that the obligations to others, you may not be able to always meet them. Maybe you can't keep taking that work home and working all weekend, because if you keep just pushing, you will lose that connection to your own personal power and ability to really achieve far beyond the day-to-day realities. Okay, the only other thing I'd say about this card is be aware that you're not being obsessed about something, and that obsession, particularly if it's not exactly yours but belongs to someone else, could really, have some negative impacts for your well-being. So just keep that in mind, particularly in relationships to others, that this card's very much talking about you and what you can achieve and what's right for you. So I hope you have a fantastic week, and I look forward to catching up with you next week. If you'd like to know more about me or to make contact with me, find out about my readings, what I offer and specials that I've got going, please go to my website at kirawoods.com. I have a Facebook page. Please go on and like it and maybe say hi. That is at Kira Woods Gold Coast, and I'm also on Twitter. I'd love for you to connect with me on Twitter, and that is Kira Woods Tarot. So thank you very much, and for those of you who have subscribed to my channel, I'm absolutely delighted, and if you haven't, please do so. Have a wonderful week.